Good evening. I'd like to call Property Management Committee to order. First order of business, roll call.
Commissioner Dodd,
Present.
Commissioner Davidson,
Here.
Commissioner Wilson,
Here.
Commissioner Phillips, Commissioner Irving,
Here.
Commissioner Johnson,
Here.
Chairman McAdoo.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. Next on the agenda, approval of the minutes. Vice Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I've looked over the minutes from our October 26th meeting and found them to be in order, so I move to approve.
Motion and second. All those in favor? Okay. Do we have any public comments?
No, sir, not as of today at 4:30.
Public comments. Okay. T-Mobile antenna lease, North Public Square. It was on the agenda, but the attorneys are not ready. They hadn't completed going over the contract and all, so we're gonna pull that one tonight. Next, facility maintenance report. Director Dodd.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'll begin tonight with my report on the Las Casas Public Health and Safety Building. If you have not been by there, I will say they're moving along really nicely. The building looks excellent. It probably looks better than the previous two, which understandably so. This is, you know, they're too into it now. So a lot of the kinks and some of the architectural modifications and improvements have been made. We've adjusted for those, so all of our new facilities going forward will should go quite smoothly. The site work on this facility is at approximately 80% complete. As you can see, the zip board and the insulation is now 100% complete. The site fire line and the inspection is complete now. It is past inspection, and they've covered it up. The roof work is about 90%. As you can see, the fascia board blocking is complete now. As far as the roof goes, we're looking at some trim and some flashing. The exterior doors are hung, and the core fill is now complete. The building is effectively dried in, and we touched on that a month or so back. We were hoping to get this facility dried in before the winter months, and the contractor has come through on that promise. The electrical, the mechanical, and the plumbing is at approximately 70% complete on the rough end. The drywall, they've already started hanging drywall. It's about 80% complete, as well as the first coat of paint. There's the rear. So you are looking into the kitchen area on the right, and everyone has seen this facility by now, so it'll start to look very familiar to you. Command center on your left. Fire bay on your right. Your EMS bay on your left. The concrete swell and the stone wall work, which is unique to this job. I think everyone is aware of its historical relevance. The contractor has been working very well with us on that wall, rebuilding it into its original configuration. That work is roughly at about 50% complete, and if you drive by, you can see where they're bringing it along the front. Our 4-week look ahead on Las Casas should be the windows and the sectionals. They've been field dimensioned. They're currently in fabrication. We should see those on site within the next 4 weeks. We should see primary and secondary electrical lines pulled in. the contractor is still working around a delay, and this is that delay that I touched on a couple months back about some switchgear. It's the main switchgear where the power comes in. Good news, the date hasn't changed. We're still looking at that mid-February date for that switchgear to come in. In last month's OAC meeting, we asked the contractor if it would be feasible if they could bring in some temporary heat into the building and go ahead and acclimate the building. They agreed to do so. That's at no charge. So it shouldn't delay our progress substantially, maybe possibly 30 days. They're going to go ahead and heat each fire bay. They're going to heat the living quarters and the kitchen area so that they can go ahead and, like I said, acclimate the building. This will help with electrical fixtures, plumbing fixtures will be able to go ahead and be installed. They'll be able to go ahead and start working on their mill work and their cabinetry. So if all goes well, we are still targeting an April move-in date on the Las Casas building. So instead of a 2-month delay, we feel like if everything falls into place, we might have narrowed that delay down to about a month. And that's going to complete my report on Las Casas. Over onto our other job site, currently under construction is the Walter Hill Public Health and Safety Building. Pictures were taken Tuesday, I believe, so they're kind of what the job site looks like currently. This site work is about 70% complete. They still have some tie-in on some of the site fire line. The CMU walls are ongoing. They're roughly 80% complete. You can see light gauge steel uprights. They're about 90% complete on the steel trusses. The mezzanine slab over the shelter is complete now. The roof work is roughly 30%. There's some of the uprights. You're looking at the tower there at the front of the building, to the right of the fire base. The light gauge steel should be completed within the next 4 weeks. We should see the electrical, plumbing, and rough end completed also within the next 4 weeks. They're roughly about 50% on the rough end now. Of course, they'll have all of those mechanicals will have to pass inspection. The heavy timber was actually delivered to site this week. So I think when I was out there, it looked like they were getting ready to set some of the piers. The 4-week look ahead on the Walter Hill location, hopefully within the next month, we should see some roof decking go down, and if the weather cooperates, quite possibly some shingles. Exterior stone veneer is estimated to be delivered to the site next month. The storefront framing, the glass, and the dimensional measurements will follow, as well as fabrication. Interior stud wall framing within the next month. They have started on the sprinkler system rough end. So as the Las Casas site, same contractor, same supplier, they are also experiencing a delay with the switchgear. But due to the nature of Walter Hill starting kind of roughly 30 days after the Las Casas site, we don't think it's going to affect the Walter Hill move-in date, just a minimal effect. So that date is still early to mid-May is our projected move-in date. I'm pretty excited that there's a chance before our really bad winter comes, we could quite possibly have both of these facilities dried in before that date. So that's going to complete my report on the Walter Hill Public Health and Safety Building. And Commissioners, there's the mezzanine slab that was just recently completed. You're looking at the men's and the women's restrooms inside the the living area. Kind of give you an idea where they're at now. You can kind of see how the trusses are being set, how they're going, how they're bringing the walls upright with the light gauge steel. Looking into what will be the living quarters. That should start to look. I don't have any further updates for you on the Plainview location. I know you asked about that last month, but right now I know that we just approved, the mayor's office just approved for some additional surveying. So SEC is still out there surveying the site. And but as soon as I get any new updates or information regarding the Plainview location, I will definitely bring it to your attention.
Hey, Director, I got a question. I think a couple of months ago, we had an issue with Kittrell on flooding. Still flooding, is flooding our storage building, or give us an update on that.
Chairman, we have addressed that. SEC went back to the drawing board, as well as American Constructors. The PBA obviously is handling that since it was associated with that job. They believe that the stormwater that's draining off of the new building's site, that it's going to be very easy to detour that water. They're looking at a swale. American has agreed to self-perform that work. SEC has approved it, so I don't think that it's going to be. I don't think there's anything major that has to occur. I don't think there's a lot of cost involved. American is currently working on the two projects and the next project going forward. So they've agreed to step in and build a swale and channel that water away from the site and away from that storage building that the school's currently occupying. So I think that situation, from my understanding, last month at PBA has been remedied.
Can you give us a complete update on that next month?
Yes, sir.
Questions? On the agenda, park, and you want to stay up here? Adam, you want to stay up here on the parking issue?
Yes, sir.
Move to approve the reports.
Motion to approve. Second, all those in favor? Okay, thank you. We've been having several discussions over the park and over for the judicial building. We have Melissa in the office, in the audience tonight, and talking to the mayor, we may have a short solution, which we will be using our other parking garage and hopefully working with the city to get Rover to transport the jurors over to the judicial building, and maybe that'll work for a short term. But for long term, we're still investigating and looking at the gate system. This will be in charge. Mail out the barcode to the jurors. They will be able to come in, utilize it, and leave that parking garage without paying. And that's what we're looking at long term. But we do have a serious issue that's going on now that we got to address. That's the cleaning of that parking garage. Terrible mess. Terrible mess. Only thing I know to do is to bring it up and try to find some funds so we can clean it on maybe a daily basis, at least sweep it with one of those sweepers, and then maybe 3 or 4 times a week to do a complete cleaning, like disinfect and so on and so forth. So we will be looking at that. And also, we have an issue with security. Lighting system is terrible. Maybe looking at trying to get some more lighting in there. Then people hanging out, security issue. Have to look at trying to do something about that. So hopefully with Melissa, Mayor, and myself coordinating, and hopefully we have some answers next month for you. But have to get on top of that cleaning now. Any member have any idea or have us anything that we can look at? Know where we're gonna get some money to do it? Commissioner Davidson?
So just out of curiosity, and it's probably a no, so don't throw things at me, but we do, we just went on the tour, and they do have a workhouse, and they do pick up on the side of the road inmates that have, you know, good behavior or not a threat to society. Could they be used to go in there and pick up trash once or twice a week? And then, I mean, I know it's in the future, but if we are going to go to a system where we are putting in codes for people to get in and out, those that do not have those codes will be paying to park. So then that money could go back into, I know we're going to have to put out money on the front end for the lighting and what have you, but those fees could essentially maybe pay ourselves back and then in the future pay for security if needed.
Good idea. I don't know if it's a legal issue on using the workhouse inmates for security. I know we will need their guards to be there with them, and I'll have to check on that on the legal issue because I do know that we tried to use workhouse inmates up here at one time, and I don't know what happened to that, Adam.
We still utilize that program that the Correctional Work Center offers. However, as the county has grown and has been limited to the buildings, and we're limited to the places that we can take them for legal reasons, and even some places that, you know, we are allowed to utilize their services, we have had complaints or requests. Complaints is not the right word. We've had requests from employees in various buildings that they're uncomfortable. You know, they have to, you know, there's a uniform that they have to wear. There's no way around that. They have to be identified, you know, easily identifiable. They have to have all of our guys have to go through a course, and they have to be approved and signed off on, background checks and all that good stuff, just for the work release program. So any maintenance technician that uses their services has to go through that program, and they act during the day when they're on a job as the guard. So an actual guard or officer from the Correctional Work Center is not physically on site. They're not physically with those individuals. It's the maintenance tech that is. It's a tough situation, and not all maintenance techs are comfortable with it, to be honest with you.
about the parking garage, right? So that is public, they wouldn't
Correct.
have to interact with anyone.
Absolutely, you're absolutely
Okay,
right.
just-
You-
Commissioner Johnson?
Thinking as far as security during the day, I know I'm sure there's more of a problem at night over there, but security during the day, we have an officer or a security officer over at the county court clerk building, and I was thinking maybe we could work that into their contract where they would go maybe once an hour or once every 2 hours, just walk through or drive through, whatever they can do. Have some security.
Okay, we can look into that and hopefully have an answer by next month's meeting. Any other suggestions?
Thank you.
Commissioner Dodd?
Mr. Dodd and I spoke briefly before the meeting. 2-3 years ago, when the parking garage was new, or we started discussing procedures or methods or hardware to be more secure or to have a gate to make some money, whatever. So Mr. Dodd has agreed to see if he can look back in the records, see if there's any processes we discovered when Ben Mankin was in charge, and so if you could maybe bring those back next month, Mr. Dodd.
Yes, I'll look into it.
And do you recall gates? We had some hardware discussions a few years ago.
I remember the hardware discussion, and sort of just tabled it at the time and never did pursue it. And look like right now we need to bring it back off the table. And I think Melissa needs to be involved in discussion of that hardware. You have an information system group that maybe can assist us also.
Yeah, I think Mr. Dodd had recalled that IT was a big part of
Right.
pursuing specs and coming up with some ideas. So perhaps we could just re-engage some of those old conversations and see if any of those have any traction.
Anything you want to add, Melissa? Seem to be good with that, but we'll really have to move this month on trying to get that place clean. So I don't know what we're going to do, but we got to do something.
How do we keep the plaza parking lot clean? How do we do that?
We don't. We don't keep it clean. City of Murfreesboro complaining right now about the homeless people in there and all the issues that's going on in it. If you go look at it, you'll see what I'm talking about. They periodically go through with a sweeper or whatever, maybe every other day, 2 or 3 days a week, but we're not keeping it clean. But we gave it up to the city of Murfreesboro, hopefully to address that situation years ago, and we just sort of backed out on doing any maintenance or cleaning down there, but it's not clean.
I know some of the box stores, the big box stores, the supermarkets and Home Depots, those kind of things, they contract a company that comes in and sweeps their parking lot. I just wonder if that's something like that is an option. I just wonder if it is.
Well, the city have a department that sweep the streets. I don't know if they running through and sweeping that parking garage down there on a timely basis, but I can get the schedule and see will they do it over at the other one, but right now, basically, it's not clean.
Adam, have we talked to the city like Murfreesboro to see if they have any ideas about keeping those parking lots clean?
Absolutely can.
Okay.
I think it's a idea.
You know, in long term, we're talking about long term. A month or so ago, we approved the Murfreesboro TIF, and part of that TIF is additional parking, and those are four-story parking garages, so long-term parking issue should be better. And I think that TIF is, if I'm not mistaken, you guys help me, it was 2028, a 5-year period of time, penalties, all kinds of stuff. So that's 5 years is long-term, but it's not a really long-term to help that parking situation. But when all those things come on board, going to create that much more of a problem. So we ought to be exploring ways to do that. So I would just suggest contacting Murfreesboro and see if they have any ideas, and maybe bringing back some of those to us. And even some of the garages, like in Nashville, at the hospitals and things like that, that have those, they probably have the same issues. If there was any way that they could give us some ideas or suggestions in doing that.
Well, I did look at one between last month and this month in Nashville, A.A. Burke's building, and on the jurors and all that good stuff, they normally go with the barcode system, and well, they don't have to pay, but you got so many different garages in the downtown area, you know, that, but you all have to pay if you're not, don't have a pass or something. Go ahead.
I want to add something, just for you to keep on in the back of your mind as we discuss this going forward. But not only are you looking at it from a cosmetic standpoint, as far as trash and homelessness and whatnot, the things of those natures, but I'm looking at it, we've had to look at it from a mechanical standpoint. We've had equipment damaged. We've had HVAC equipment damaged up there. The elevator has been damaged. We go up there and they'll do burnouts, and they'll back like a motorcycle into the garage, and they'll burn the floor. It's just terrible. They've broken water lines. In the summertime especially, I don't know if it's to cool off. I don't know if it's to drink water. We've had to go back and we've had to shut the water off to the garage. We've had to go back and cut off all the water hose bibs and the water supplies that are used to clean the garage, and we've had to cap all those off. They break fire extinguishers. We're constantly having to replace those. They break lights. I can go on and on. So it's not just a cosmetic issue that we're facing or a trash issue. It's a mechanical issue as well. It's an equipment issue, a structure issue. It is vandalism. I have hundreds of photos. One of our employees works in our lawn care, landscape and lawn care, and that has kind of gotten lumped into, you know, on the days where maybe you can't cut grass when it's raining or weather doesn't permit. Can you focus a little on the parking garage on those days when you're not cutting grass? And he has done a tremendous job with the short amount of time he has to get up there and kind of police it. But when I say that word police, that's a very uncomfortable word for us due to some of the circumstances that have been mentioned here associated with Murfreesboro City's parking garage as well as our county garage. It's a very uncomfortable situation when you have to confront that sort of behavior. It's not something that we're typically equipped to handle.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Dodd?
Adam, if you think if it were gated and vehicles could not go in, would the vandalism go down, or is it primarily pedestrians who are causing the damage?
I don't want to speak without giving it more thought and giving it more research and looking back through what has been, the studies that have been done on this previously. But just, I'm going to say that you won't put a huge dent in it with vehicle. I don't know that a lot of the traffic, the type of vandalism and and what we're experiencing, what we're discussing here, happens when somebody comes in, you know, for 2 or 3 hours or for their 8 to 5 job, and then they leave. If they work around the downtown area, I think that a lot of the vandalism is foot traffic and on the weekends. I'm leaning towards that for sure.
Yeah, I think the blocking vehicles might reduce it some. I know I'm a downtown dweller, and my wife and I would, when the garages were new, would drive up to the top deck, and it can be a real pretty sunset, but we can't go up there anymore. It's too crowded, and it's an assertive crowd, and like you said, it's uncomfortable to confront. So, in my experience, gates would calm some of the vandalism, some of it.
I think any accumulation of your ideas, I think the gated entry, that's what they have in all your major cities, all your big cities where it's congested and parking is tight. That's how it is in Nashville. I think that an accumulation of all your ideas, I think if we had better lighting, I think if we could upgrade the lighting system, we can look at our camera system and see if it needs to be updated. I think the idea for some security periodically through the day would be tremendous. If there was somebody with some legal authority to address these issues were present, I think that would be huge, and I also agree. I think it's going to with the gated entry. I think it's going to be an accumulated effort to get this problem under control.
Commissioner Johnson?
As you know, we just approved the TIF for Murfreesboro, so the garages will be built there as well as hotels and all the other stuff. But I do see problem getting worse in our joint parking garage, city and Rutherford County's parking garage. I think that's going to have to be addressed just as quick as the one we're speaking of. I think we have to just address both of them basically at the same time. That's going to be a lot worse down there, I think, if we don't do the gating and have someone there. And you're never going to stop the people on foot that want to get in there. I mean, you can put up gates, you can put up spikes or whatever on the walls, but they'll get in to get out of the cold or to vandalize or whatever. So you'll never stop it all, but we can make a big dent in it and make it safer.
You said it better than I did. Not that the gates won't help tremendously. I just didn't want there to be a false sense of a problem solved. But you know, you said it much better than I did. But yes, I think it's going to take all of your ideas together to make this thing work.
Commissioner Davidson?
Could I ask, I know it's about to be really, really cold for winter, so maybe nobody wants to be outside for long term, but could we add that to our list of tours at some point? Because I'm not exactly sure. I mean, I know when you have to go to court, is that what we are talking about, or is this a different one? I'm not sure.
That's the only parking garage.
Okay, so that is the only one that we have. And then there was one that we share, or is that the one we're sharing?
Well, they basically do the cleaning, the maintenance on that garage, but we are in partners with them. We're 50-50. If something happened and we got to pay out some money, that money got to be paid out. We pay half
So
of it.
This one over here,
That's by Lion Bar Library, the one we 50/50. Now, the one over here by the judicial building, it's 100% ours.
okay, so that's the one that I would definitely like for us to take a tour of at some point.
Problem, it could be our next tour.
Mr. Chairman, I would suggest we do both of them if time allows. I know it's a little bit of difference there, but they're not that far apart. We could tour both of them because they're both going to be more of a problem in the future, near future.
Tour the one in Murfreesboro, I probably would ask the sheriff to give me a deputy to go with us, but we can set that up for our next tour. Any other discussion on parking? So we're gonna set up our next tour for parking, say at 3:30, to meet on the first floor of the parking garage by the judicial building. One over. (116) West Lytle. 3:30. Yeah, 28th, I believe so. 28th. Yeah, we changed with 28th. Friday got that, the 28th, 3:30. Parking garage, first floor, 116 Lytle Street. Yeah, December. And Adam can assist us on that tour, pointing out the things he brought up tonight. And we'll probably be able to see by being 3:30 in the afternoon, the condition of it, the lighting, and other things that Adam brought up, like the mechanics. Maybe he can point that out to us. Okay, any other questions on parking? All right, other business. Other business, I have one thing I like to do. I would like to thank the sheriff department and his staff for giving us a tour of the jail, and it was a pretty thorough tour. They went through some things that the public do not know, and so therefore we got to see it on firsthand, and I think it'd be very helpful in making decisions on the jail in the future. Also, he pointed out the roofs. It was something that we tried with the foam roofs, and that's what I was interested in, see how were they holding up. Look like they're holding up pretty good. Look good. So that's something we may think about in the future, using more foam for roofs in Rutherford County. So, any other discussion? Commissioner Johnson?
Question, Rachel, why you mentioned that property management is going to meet on the 28th instead of the 21st. Right, but our other committees that usually meet on that same week have moved up to the prior week, correct? Like public safety and... Right, and they would normally meet on the same week that we're meeting. I understand all that. But that week that we're talking about, the 28th, is the week New Year's and a week that a lot of folks traditionally take off. So I'm just wondering why we're meeting on the 28th instead of the 21st.
Well, that's a scheduled meeting date, the 28th, and if you want to change it, you can bring it up in this committee. Whoever wants to have the input on the 21st, I myself personally don't, it doesn't make me any difference whether it's the 21st, 28th, or 31st, or Christmas Day. It doesn't make me any difference. But if you want to change it, now's the time to bring it up.
This is just a personal preference. That week, the 25th, is Christmas. We've got Christmas holiday and New Year's holiday both in that same week.
I would move, we would move our next meeting to the 21st.
Scheduled for the 21st? Yeah, it doesn't,
21st, right, Rachel?
got a motion and a second. Any other discussion on moving the meeting date? Call the roll.
Commissioner Wilson,
Yes.
Commissioner Davidson. Commissioner Dodd,
Yes.
Commissioner Irving,
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips, Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
Chairman McAdoo.
Yes.
Motion passes. Date is the 21st.
And we'd also move our tour to that same day.
Everything will be the same. Okay, is there any other business to come before the committee? Commissioner Johnson?
Several months back, we decided to let the Chamber of Commerce market our property on Singer Road. I haven't heard anything else about that. I was wondering if we could maybe get an update or at least an idea of what they're doing. The idea was to get a market price so we'd know what we had, and it's been a while. And also, and also the outbuildings are still there, and that was one thing we wanted to do, is get those off of the property, because that sort of knocks some of the price off if somebody thinks they've got to get rid of some buildings and all. And just want an update on what's going on with those buildings. I would suggest if by now we haven't been able to get rid of them, to either contact one of the fire departments, I guess Murfreesboro first because it's in the city of Murfreesboro, and then if they didn't want to burn them down, use them for training, then maybe reach out to Rutherford County or any other entity as far as fire departments that would need those for training. Just burn them down, a lot less to clean up. And we're holding up on the cleanup of the old house, the Lamb's house that was there, the original brick home. We're holding up on cleaning that up until we get rid of these buildings, and we'll just clean it all up at one time. I'd like to see that addressed.
Okay, she's going to add it to the agenda. Adam, can you discuss that with the mayor
Yes, sir.
on that? Doesn't make me any difference. He brought up a point that he wants the buildings down, whether you get the fire department to burn them down or whatever. I think it's a burn ban going on, but I guess we can go by it or pass it. But anyway, he wants the building burnt down, tore down, and you can pass it on to the mayor. And then we need to, after that's done, we need to clean up the old building, the old house or whatever that was there.
Right. I think it was 2 months ago, we addressed that in this committee, that we were going to have someone come in. Well, we already got a price basically on how much it would cost to clean up the old Lamb home, and I suggested then that since those other buildings were still there, we needed to wait, maybe hold off on that and do it all at one time after we get rid of the buildings, just clean up the remains.
Okay. Adam, can you talk to the mayor about that
Yes,
and bring it back to us next meeting?
yes, sir.
Okay. And then it was, the other question was appraisal price on that property? How much the value of it is?
Yes, we had put that in the hands of the chamber, and they were going to market it for us. And then I don't know who we're supposed to hear back from, but we haven't heard anything.
Okay. Can we bring Rob up here to give us a price on that property? Appraisal property? Appraisal price or something? Or do you
Well,
want
we
that?
already put it in the hands of the chamber.
Well, we just asked them to look into it. It was nothing concrete. It wasn't no contract or anything. It was just that they made a presentation to us at that meeting of what they were doing and what we would like to see them do in marketing our property. But it wasn't nothing concrete, no contract made that they were supposed to bring us back a price on their property.
Well, that's what we were talking about at the time. The reason that we put it in the chamber's hands is we had all kinds of, well, this property's worth $200,000 an acre, $300,000, whatever the number was. It was, and that we had the rail spur, and we don't really have a rail spur. There were a lot of questions on it, or several questions on it. So I don't know if it was the mayor suggested, somebody suggested that the chamber had evidently volunteered to market it for us, which means they would bring us a price, because that's what we were talking about, was trying to find a market price on it. So that's marketing, plus putting feelers out to see if we, could sell it.
Well, we can contact the chamber and ask them have they done it, but as a secondary for this, because I don't want to be running all the way around the bush every month trying to get a price out of the chamber, and every month that it's being brought up that we do not have a price on that property. So therefore, we can sell it tonight. If we cannot, if the chamber will not give us a price, or they too busy, or whatever the case may be, we have another alternative and going to Rob and getting the price on that property. Other discussion? Commissioner Phillips?
Mr. Chairman, I'm just kind of brainstorming here a little bit. It appears that some of the security issues that relate to the parking garage, that type of thing, it would be prudent for us to maybe get Public Safety Committee involved in the process too, to have discussions, because they deal with law enforcement, that kind of thing. So do you think that it'd be a decent idea to bring that parking situation up at the next Public Safety Committee meeting?
Well, let me give you my point of view of that. A couple of years ago, I was asked to go to Public Safety, ask for security in that area and discuss it and so on and so forth. They said they couldn't do it. They didn't have the manpower. So under Bill Ketron, we went out and got the private security out of Davidson County. I think that's where they come from. Now I can go back to them. We can send, who serves on public safety in here?
I attend.
Well, then you can ask.
I can bring it up.
Yeah. So that would be Commissioner Phillips' project. Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, any other business to be brought forth to the committee tonight? Now, I would like to thank each one of you for showing up for the tour. That went over real good. I guess we're gonna continue to do a tour each month. Parking lot, and then I was thinking maybe after the parking lot, maybe looking at the landfill. So that's something we can be thinking about. No other business, I entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you.